Welcome to the Generational Wealth Podcast. Chris Rock finally responded about the Will Smith slap at the Oscars. In today's show, I'm going to show you guys how Chris Rock took that Academy Awards incident and turned it into a fortune, and how you can follow his business strategy on how he did this so that you can build your own empire. All I need you to do is smash that like button. Guys, welcome. I want to give a special shout out to everyone that's checked out my free webinar on the 3 keys to financial freedom. Guys, if you have not checked this out, you are missing out. This is where I'm showing you guys the step-by-step process on how I was able to pay off over $95,000 in student loans after graduating from college. Here's where I show you guys how I retired from corporate America and stopped trading time for money. One thing that you're going to notice about people who are wealthy is that they don't rely on their wages to build wealth. They have 7 different streams of income. When I'm talking about wages, I'm talking about if you have a fixed salary, if you only make money through an hourly wage at your 9-to-5 job. If you want to know how wealthy people are able to make money without having to work at a 9-to-5, you need to check out that webinar because I'm showing you how to do it right there. All you got to do is click the link in the comments below. If y'all are on, leave me a comment. We got to talk about this, y'all. Chris Rock finally responded. After a whole year, he finally responded, and it was strategic. Why did Chris Rock wait until right now to make a comment about the Oscars? We're going to talk about that and more on tonight's show. But I also want to give a special shout out to all of the sponsors. Now, you might be asking, who is a sponsor? A sponsor is someone who donates to this channel to help keep these shows going. You guys have been leaving me a lot of comments telling me about how much you love this content, how you're getting so much value from it, and I cannot do this without your support. So if you get a lot of value from today's podcast, do me a favor and smash that dollar icon directly below. It's that dollar icon directly below the live chat box, the same way that y'all comment about what you think about this whole Chris Rock, Will Smith situation. Right below the comments section on this live stream is a $sign. When you click that, that's when you can make your donation. If you like using Cash App, $, Gen Wealth Podcast. You can donate even after the stream is over, but whoever makes the highest donation will be the official sponsor of tonight's podcast. Now, guys, I'm going to say this right off the rip. If you think that this show is just about spilling tea, you got another thing coming. On the Generational Wealth Podcast, I show you how to level up. I want to show you guys how Chris Rock took this incident and turned it into a fortune. Chris Rock, he could have handled this thing a totally different way, but he was very strategic in his approach. Today, I'm going to tell you guys about why Chris Rock did what he did in this Netflix special and how you can learn from it so that you can build a fortune for yourself. You don't got to get slapped by Will Smith to do it, but there are important lessons that you can take away from this, y'all. Every time we go over these stories about these celebrities, it's so that you can soak up game from the things that they do, and you can learn from what they do right and what they do wrong, so that way you can build generational wealth for you and your family. So let's talk about it. Chris Rock recently dropped a Netflix special called Selective Outrage. I just watched it. And for those of y'all that have been hiding under a rock, at last year's Academy Awards, Will Smith got on stage at the Oscars and he slapped the hell out of him. He slapped fire out of that man. Everybody saw Will Smith get on stage after Chris Rock made a comment about Jada. And Will Smith went up there, smacked fire out of him, then sat back down and said, Keep my wife's name out your mouth. And everybody was like, whoa, Will, you good? Keep my wife's name out your mouth. And ever since then, it's been real in these streets. I don't know how Chris Rock and Will Smith could ever be looked at the same, because that was really a turning point for the both of them. And there was so much controversy. Man, why did Will Smith get up and slap that brother on the stage? He didn't have to do that. Why didn't Chris Rock do anything in response? There was all these people talking about what they would have done if they was in the situation. And today, I want to talk about why Chris Rock stayed silent for almost a year and didn't talk about this until the Netflix special came out. I want to show y'all this in an article. Why did Chris Rock wait until right now to tell his side of the story? Watch this. How much did Chris Rock get paid for his Netflix special? Y'all got to understand, this is a business. I know a lot of y'all want to keep it street. Chris Rock kept it business. That's the reason why he's wealthy. See, a lot of y'all, you got too much hood still up in you. I'm sorry. And we're going to talk more about that on this Wednesday show, because I want to talk about Ja Morant. How you'll see these brothers get to the money, but they want to be so hood and they want to be so street that they fumble the bag. How much did Chris Rock get paid for his Netflix special? Now, I want to say this. I can't say that I would let another man come on stage and slap the hell out of me on national TV all for money. I'm just showing y'all how Chris Rock moves. You know, there's some things where even myself, I don't know if I could have been that disciplined like that. But I do admit Chris Rock handled himself very professionally. That's why he's been able to capitalize on this Netflix special. How much did Chris Rock get paid for his Netflix special? Watch this. It's no secret that Netflix has been betting big on stand-up comedy. But this weekend marked a landmark moment for the streaming platform with its first ever live stream event. Now, Ariel, I know you're excited about that. Not only was this Netflix special released, this was their first ever live stream event. They streamed it first, and then they edited it after the stream was over. The same way that y'all be seeing live streams on YouTube, that's the market that Netflix just hopped in. And what better way to have your first ever live stream on Netflix than the Chris Rock Selective Outrage? This is something that the whole world wanted to see. Right now, this is the #1 most watched show on Netflix. As soon as you go into Netflix, this is what's going to pop up. Netflix made money off of this. So did Chris Rock. It's no secret that Netflix has been betting big on stand-up comedy, but this weekend marked a landmark moment for the streaming platform with its first ever live streamed event, which could mean big things for its future in comedy. Chris Rock's comedy special, Chris Rock Selective Outrage, aired on Netflix Saturday evening, bookended with star-studded pre- and post-show specials featuring the likes of Jerry Seinfeld, David Spade, Amy Schumer, and more. This event also doubled as the first time the veteran comedian addressed his infamous slap from Will Smith at the 2022 Oscars. According to a 2016 report from The Hollywood Reporter, Rock's Saturday special was part of a $40 million deal he made with Netflix for 2 stand-up specials. That's a lot of money. Though Netflix has not confirmed the amount Rock made, I'm sorry, though Netflix has not confirmed the amount Rock was paid per deal, THR wrote at the time the $20 million per special is believed to be more than such A-list comedians as Louis C.K., Jerry Seinfeld, and Amy Schumer have commanded. Selective Outrage comes almost 5 years after Rock's first Netflix comedy special, Chris Rock Tambourine. Now, I want y'all to notice this. It had been years since Chris Rock had his first Netflix special. He signed up for a 2-show deal. What better way to make a comeback than to address what happened at the Oscars with Will Smith? All of this is business strategy. The deal was reportedly made following a big bidding war and marked the end of Rock's previous long-term partnership with HBO. Y'all know what that means? Everybody wanted to feature Chris Rock's response. You had all these different networks competing to pay Chris Rock to talk about what happened at the Academy Awards. Netflix won the battle. Considering the stacked roster of comedians who appeared in the pre and post shows, that night of comedy probably racked up to be a lot more than just $20 million. Absolutely. Why? Because the incident allowed him to renegotiate. Rock spent the hour-long special talking about woke culture, his relationship with his daughters, and what it's like dating as a single father. But he did not hold back when it came to talking about Smith, who slapped him across the face on live television while he was presenting at last year's Oscars. The comedian placed much of the blame on Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett-Smith. Now, if you watched my take on this, you know that I placed much of the blame on Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett-Smith. Jada Pinkett-Smith has been making Will look crazy for years. I don't want to read this next comment. I got to read some of it, though. She hurt him way more than he hurt me. That's a fact. Everybody called him up. You know, I'm a church pastor, so I can't say certain words, guys. You see what's on the screen. I dare need not say it for myself, okay? Viewer discretion advised. And who's he hit? Me, he joked in his special. Live streaming events may be a valuable market for Netflix to break into. I know Ariel's like, man, how can I work for Netflix? But it's worth asking if Selective Outrage is actually worth the alleged $20 million price tag. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this. I watched it, and the whole time, was just waiting for him to address the Will Smith slap. I just wanted to see him talk about the controversy. I didn't care about any of the other jokes. All I wanted to see was, what do you have to say about this slap? Keep my wife's name out your mouth. That's the only thing that I needed to see him discuss. This is what we've been waiting for all year. Now, was it worth it? I think so, because when it comes to business, this is something that the whole world wanted to watch. This is the #1 most watched show on Netflix right now. Netflix is going to make a killing off of this. So when you think about this, this is all business. A lot of y'all might be viewing this from a street mentality, but this has to deal with the business side at the end of the day. These two guys are professionals, comedians. Chris Rock knows how to handle himself professionally. And so for him to go through this, he did not do anything to jeopardize the money that would have come from it. Today, I want to talk about how y'all will have situations happen in your life that instead of acting out of character and fumbling the bag, you can actually capitalize on the moment. This is called taking your mess and making it your message. This is one of the most powerful business strategies in the world. I know you guys think I'm only going to be talking about the tea. Oh, this is just a bunch of gossip. It's just a smoke. No, it is not. I'm here to show you why Chris Rock made far over $20 million for a 1-hour show. Chris Rock made this money because he took his mess and made it his message. Now, what is take your mess and make it your message? This is a term that's used to encourage people to use their past struggles as a way to inspire others who are going through similar experiences. This is when you take your mess and make it your message. It means that instead of you hiding behind your struggles, you put them out for the world to see so that it can make a positive impact. Take your mess and make it your message. See, a lot of us never do this, and this is why we stay poor. A lot of us have too much ego to be successful. When you become successful, guys, your life is going to be public. And a lot of times, people are ashamed of their struggles. When you take your mess and you make it your message, you're finding the silver lining in your life story. This is when you take lemons and make lemonade. You're using difficult situations and turning them into opportunities to empower yourself and others. Why is take your mess and make it your message such an effective business strategy? The reason why this is such an effective business strategy is because it allows you to be authentic. People value authenticity. In this digital age where everybody is running around with fake money, fake followers, fake following, you want to be authentic. You really want to put your life out there where people can relate to your personal struggles. You don't just want to be another guy out here. Oh, look at me. I've got a car. That's played out. Everybody and their mama is on social media talking about how they have a car. You don't want to be the next one out here with your butt stuck out trying to get likes on IG. All of these women are doing this. You want to change the game and stand out by being your authentic self. No matter how different you are, there's somebody that can relate to what you're going through. Taking your mess and making your message gives you a unique perspective. When you give people your personal story, it gives people insight that they don't already have. People want to be able to look at your life and see, man, how did you become this kind of person? What was the secret to your success? They want to know what's the real deal, not just the stuff that everybody puts in their books about the 5 steps to success. What was the real motivation behind why you did what you did? Again, there might be people that are going through similar situations and they're looking for your support. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for people who are bold enough to take their story and put it out for the world to see. This builds strong connections. When you share your story, see, I know Ariel's going to love me for this show, Avia. I just got to say this off rip, because one of the things that I'm going to talk a lot about is the power of stories. So many different authors will tell you The key to success is stories. You've got to know the art of storytelling. Why do we love to watch great movies? It's a story. Why do we love to watch great shows? Why are we so engaged by the hour-long episode that just turned into some to be continued thing where now, damn, I got to see what happens in the next show and then the next show and then the next show? It's because you're pulled into the story. When you take your mess and make it your message, it allows people to get a compelling story. There's something about your life that sticks out to others. So not only does it give you an opportunity for you to be real about what you're going through, it allows you to have your own lane, and it helps to create a strong bond. Instead of you just being some other random guru that's out on the online space, this allows people to create an emotional connection with you. This is what separates you from everybody else. So, guys, one of the things that I can say about my life is a lot of people have watched my content over the years because they know my story. Maybe they're engaged in my story because I'm a young Black man from Los Angeles, California. And I talked about how I went from being homeless to owning over $1 million in real estate. Some people know my story about how years ago I was very prominent within a certain industry, and then there was a controversy that happened that changed my life forever. A lot of people were tuned into the story of how I was able to recover myself. A lot of people were really tied into my story on how I graduated from college with over $95,000 in debt. By me sharing my story, it gives my community a sense of hope and empowerment that if this young Black brother could do it, I can do it too. A lot of times when it comes to personal finance, a lot of the people who would talk about it traditionally wouldn't be people who look like me. So when you see my story, you see someone that you can identify with doing the things that you may have never thought was possible. You might have thought this whole time, man, only white folks can make money. Only these other communities can be out here having multiple streams of income and investing in real estate. For those of us that grew up in the hood, the only way that you're going to make it is if you dope dealing. There's more to life than that. But you can't see that until you see somebody else's story. When you're able to tap into someone else's experiences, you can say to yourself, wow, if they could go through all of this, surely I can make it as well. This is why you got to take your mess and turn it into your message. See, a lot of you guys, you think that you have to have the world's best invention in order to have relevance. You being who you are is relevant enough. That inspires others. By you sharing your story and talking about how you overcame the odds, that can inspire others. And this is something that is far beyond money. I'm going to tell y'all something. These podcasts, I don't do this for the money. I ask for a super chat. I never know if I'm going to get one donation during the show. There's so many different things that I could be doing with my time. There's so many other ways that I could go about creating an income. But I always told myself when I was in corporate America, there was so much more to life than me just sitting behind a cubicle and not impacting other people's lives to help change the lives of people for the better. Some of you may know my story about how I used to work in corporate America at Hewlett-Packard. I was a project manager. And I always hated the fact that even though I was making good money, I didn't feel like I was actually helping people. I didn't feel like I was making a real difference in the world. And I said to myself, are you going to spend the rest of your life working at this job behind this desk and you don't actually make the most of the talents that God has given you? God has given you the ability to reach out and touch people. And here you are writing a program that's not going to do nothing for people in the real world. I made a bold decision when I was 26 years old to retire from corporate America, and I've never been back since. And I was driven by wanting to help people just like you. I know that there was a lot of us growing up, we thought that we could never make it out from where we came. But I always told myself that if I made it out, I would take somebody else with me. And this is my way of paying it forward. You have your own story. I have mine. And there's going to be somebody that's going to connect with what you have to say. That's why you take your mess and make it your message. When you take your mess and make it your message, this becomes an effective strategy because you're able to tap into something that's bigger than money. You're able to take personal stories to inspire change. And remember, there are so many different ways that you can do this on a professional stage. With Chris Rock, he took his mess and he turned it into a Netflix special that paid him over $20 million. But here are some ways that other people have taken their mess and turned it into money. Number one, writing a book. A lot of people have documented the personal challenges that they've gone through in their life and put it in a book. Prime example of this, Scottie Pippen after The Last Dance. A lot of y'all watched The Last Dance documentary about Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen had his own story to tell, and he wrote it in a book. He took the challenges that he had in playing with Michael Jordan, and he turned it into an autobiography. He took his mess and made it his message. If you have any kind of challenging life story, write it down. Talk about what you went through and how you overcame it. The reason why these books are so powerful is because it gives people valuable insights and advice who may be going through similar situations. Like, I'm thinking about some of y'all that I'm seeing that are online right now. If you're on, make sure that you smash that like button, leave me a comment. I'm thinking about some of the people that I'm seeing in the comments, and I'm thinking about ways that they could take their mess and turn it into their message. If you're struggling with things that you think, is really overwhelming, then chances are somebody else is going through that similar experience. Somebody else is feeling overwhelmed too. So rather than just thinking, oh man, you know what? There's no way that I can actually help people from this, by you highlighting a lot of your stories, you'd be surprised how many people would want to hear about it so that they can make a change. One of the best ways that you can do this is through writing books. Okay. In my book, I wrote about how I went from being homeless and then $95,000 in debt to being debt free and becoming a real estate investor, so that way I could start making passive income. How can you go from point A to point B? Another thing that you want to consider, guys, is that when people write books, they're able to take these books and make a living from book sales and public speaking engagements. I'm sure that you've seen authors on tour talking about their story at different conferences. Look at what's happening right now with Meghan Markle. Some of you guys might not like the things that people are saying, but don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You have your own story to tell. So even if you don't like what Meghan Markle is doing, because I'm definitely not co-signing it, I'm just giving you guys an example of how you'll see people who are in prominent positions that are highlighting their stories for a reason. This is why they became successful, because they knew how to capitalize on these opportunities. I want you guys to learn how to take your mess and make it your message. Another big way that you can do this is through coaching and consulting. Some people who have successfully overcome personal struggles, whether it be weight loss or addiction, have chosen to become coaches. They consult with people to help others achieve similar goals. Now, this is different from somebody that just outlines 10 ways to lose weight. By you highlighting your story, this inspires other people to go down a similar path. I want you to think about a big name like Jenny Craig. Y'all remember how big Jenny Craig was when you were growing up? The reason why Jenny Craig was so big is because there were so many stories of women who had all of these different challenges. And one by one, they were able to lose weight. And then their stories motivated others. It's not enough that you just go through the process yourself. You got to take your mess and make it your message. So let me give you all an example. You know, long before I had even decided to get on these YouTube streets, I was trying to get rid of my own student loans. I wasn't thinking nothing about starting my own business. I always thought I'd be working at a computer company for the rest of my life. But as I was paying off my student loans, I started thinking, with as many people around the world that are in tons of debt, wouldn't somebody else want to know how I'm doing this? The minute I told people, hey, I just made my last student loan payment and I've paid off over $95,000 in 2 years, do you know how many people flooded my inbox, sending me DMs? How did you do it? Show me. How did you do it? I'd be willing to pay you. Can you show me how you did it? This is where I took my mess and made it my message. I've made it my life's work to show people how I was able to create financial freedom. What can you do? What is something that a lot of people struggle with that you struggle with yourself? What is something that's gotten you depressed, upset, frustrated, angry, and you kept going through all of these different trials, suffering in going through these problems? You never thought that you would make it out. And somehow, by the grace of God, you got to the other side. That's a story. I promise you, there are people all over the world that want to know how you did that. Why? Because it's not about you, it's about them. It's about them having somebody that knows what it's like to go through that exact same path. And then they can use how you did it for their own benefit. That's the reason why you have all of these coaches talking about their own experiences. This is when you can take your experiences and knowledge to guide and motivate others. And you can also charge a fee for your services. Guys, you could do it just like how I'm doing it. 95% of all of my content I put out for free. I don't know how anybody could ever say, oh man, Uzziah, he's pimping the people. Do you see how much this program costs? You don't got to get in none of my programs. I don't got a gun to your head. 95% of all of the content that I've ever made is for absolutely free. A lot of this stuff I should have been charging for, but I give away the game because I want you to do something with it. Because it's for free, you have no excuse. And so, guys, I just want y'all to understand there's so many of you out there that have all of these stories and these unique gifts that you take for granted. And then you go and work at a soul sucking job that you care nothing about, but you're actually sitting on a gold mine. So I could make a lot more money telling people about how I paid off my student loans than I ever could at my 9 to 5 job. You want to take your mess and make it your message. And that's the reason why, for me, I love what I do, because I love the thought that I make more money from talking about my student loan story than how much I actually paid off in my student loans. When I capitalize off of my student loan story and turn it into a business, this is my way of getting recovery, getting payback against Sally Mae for every dime I had to pay. These is my reparations, y'all. From all the money that I had to put towards these student loans, these is the reparations. That's the reason why I always ask y'all, donate to the platform. Sponsor this, so that way we can take these stories and we can share it with others so that they can grow. A lot of people don't believe that they can do this. That's the reason why coaching is necessary. Consultants are necessary. High performance people have advisors that are coaching them. I hope y'all know that. The next thing that I want y'all to think about is public speaking. A lot of people who've overcome significant challenges in life use their experiences to inspire others through public speaking. Now, some people may do this for free, and others may charge a fee for their services. I know guys right now, like Eric Thomas, prime example. He took his mess, broke, homeless, high school dropout, and he turned that into his message, where the brother became a PhD and he can easily command $100,000 or more for one speaking engagement. Taking your mess and making it your message. And see, guys, the reason why this is such a powerful tactic, and I don't want y'all to sleep on it, this is what Chris Rock did. When you take your mess and make it your message, you really don't have to learn anything new. You don't have to go to college for 4 years and get a new degree. You don't have to go to medical school. You don't have to pass some really hard exam. All you have to do is talk about what you've already experienced. And a lot of times that's therapeutic. If you keep it bottled in your entire life, that can end up weighing on your spirit. That can end up really hurting your soul. So by you sharing this and getting this out in the open, you'd be surprised how much of a win-win it really is. And it's extremely beneficial, extremely impactful. And that's the reason why people make a lot of money from it, because you get paid in direct proportion to the value that you deliver to the marketplace. People are paying you because you have the answers to solve their problems. And a lot of people do that through public speaking. Now, comedy is a form of public speaking. These guys are going out in front of packed arenas and they're telling their story. If you watched that Netflix special of Chris Rock, Selective Outrage, you could tell the brother still hurt off that slap, man. And you can't blame him, because that happened in front of the world. But he needed to get that out for a reason. There's all these people asking him, man, when are you going to say something about this? When are you going to tell your story? And look at how many people want to hear about it. There's a famous saying in business. I want y'all to write this down. Facts tell, stories sell. The reason they say that facts tell is because you could tell a person a lot about technical details, but they won't remember it. People are drawn to things through stories. Why do you think that so many people love Apple? Do you think that they love Apple just because they have the best technology? No. The reason that they love Apple is because Apple sells a story. There's a certain lifestyle that you perceive that you're going to get by having their products. That's what separates them from other companies. You got to be able to see facts tell, stories sell. So if you want to know how you could be more impactful in business, instead of always trying to tell people about the facts of your products and all of its features, tell them stories about how it worked for you. Tell them stories about how some of your customers benefited from it. Anytime I've ever had winning programs, I always got key customers because they loved the stories of the people that benefited from my content. It was relatable. They looked at somebody else that got out of debt and said, wow, this system got out of $5,000 in debt. I want to get out of $5,000 in debt. Wow, this brother got out of $50,000 in debt. Wow, I want to get out of debt. Show me how to do it. What are the steps? And if all of these different people are able to do it, then surely there must be something behind it. Facts tell, stories sell. A lot of y'all want to know why my business ain't going nowhere. Because it's not back behind a story. You're not taking your mess and making it your message. You're not even telling people the messy side of how this became your business in the first place. Can I get some comments? Sister Ariel says, dang, such a good point. Taking your mess and turning it into your message is so powerful. Sister Avia says, this is such a valuable message. It definitely has me thinking. Indeed, Sister Avia, you know, Sister Avia, she always imparts me with a lot of knowledge that's very specific. And every time she gives me knowledge about certain things pertaining to mental health, I'm always blown away because most people don't know much about that area. And so even though she might know a lot about it, if she takes the knowledge for granted, she could actually be sitting on a large opportunity to just be able to document, hey, before I went down this path, here's where I was mentally, here's how I got through it. That could go a very long way towards helping a lot of people. In fact, some of the most powerful transformations that I've had in my life over the past 4 years has come from things that I've learned from Sister Avia pertaining to mental health. So I thank you for that, my sister. And don't keep it a secret. Make it something that you can share with others. Okay. So for those of you that are on, tonight we're talking about how Chris Rock turned Will Smith's slap into a fortune. I'm showing you guys behind the scenes of how key performers take secret business strategies and use it to build empires. A lot of y'all think, oh man, Chris Rock just did a special. What's so special about that? Everything. Why? Because these guys know something about the business world that you don't. Turn your mess and make it your message. That's one of the most powerful ways that you can succeed in business. That makes you a standout performer. We talked about how you could do that through writing books. We talked about how you could do that through coaching and consulting. We talked about how you could do it as a public speaker. Online courses also do this. With so much online education now for the first time in history, you've got guys who've created courses based on their own experience and expertise. For example, my premier program is called 0 to 6 Figures. In this program, I'm literally outlining how you could go all the way up to 6 figures and then to 7. I'm outlining the step-by-step process on how to do it based upon exactly how I did it, now owning over $1 million worth of real estate, but also the things that I've seen other people do that I've implemented myself. I'm taking my mess and turning it into my message. See, if I was from another community that was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, you couldn't believe that you could go from 0 to 6 to 7 figures. But because you see me do it, now you know you can. Wow, this looks like an everyday brother that I might have seen off the street. If he could do it, so can I. I take my experience and I turn it into a lesson. I turn it into an experience. I turn it into a program. This is how you get paid what you're worth. You're literally taking your life's worth, your experiences, and you're turning it into a product and a service. This creates value for other people. So when I figured out how to get out of debt, I showed others how to do it. You can create these programs and you can earn a significant income. Can I tell you all something? When I sold my very first program, the Undisputed Success System, I made more money from that program in a week and a half than I did in almost 2 months worth of salary in corporate America. And I was a manager in corporate America. I was an IT project manager, a campus recruiting manager, and the president of HP Austin's Black Employee Network. I made more money in a week and a half from my very first program that I only sold for $47. I made more money from that one program than I ever made in 2 years working in corporate. And I was in a very good position. Guys, this is how you can make your own way. Remember what I always tell you guys whenever I'm telling you about checking out my free webinar on 3 keys to financial freedom? I always remind you, wealthy people create systems that creates the potential for unlimited income. What do I mean when I say that? I'm not saying that wealthy people have infinite money. I'm saying that wealthy people understand if you want to really create generational wealth, you cannot do that on a fixed salary or an hourly wage. You need to create a system that separates time from money. So if I create a program, for example, someone can join the program and I can be asleep. I'm now making money independent of my time. I could be out at lunch with friends. This has happened so many times. We're sitting down having fun. I'm not working at all. And I'll get a push notification on my phone that somebody has just bought one of my programs. This allows you the ability to make unlimited income. Why do I keep saying unlimited? Because there's no limit on how many products that you can sell. You can sell one course or you could sell 1,000 courses. You can sell one book or you could sell millions of books. This is how people build wealth. Why is Chris Rock making so much money? Because there are millions of people that are going to watch the special on Netflix. He's not locked into some hourly rate. You've got to know how to create business ventures to where you don't always have to trade time for money. You have unlimited potential to make as much money as you possibly can. Okay? So I just want you guys to think about this when you think on how to take your mess and turn it into your message. Okay. Sister Avia says, wow, all praises. I guess I need to get serious about making my mess my message. I guess you do, sister. I guess you do. Shout out to my brother, Lyratex and the Israelite. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He said, I wish I had that kind of strength. You do, my brother. You do, and more. Now I just want to show you how to uncover it. That's the reason why I'm going through this show. I'm going through this show because I'm trying to show you guys how you can take your experiences and you can turn it into an impactful message. You'd be surprised, guys, how many people lives get changed off of stuff that y'all be taking for granted every single day. Society lacks leadership. Society lacks mentors and people with real stories in a society that is so fake. People want to see real things from real people with real situations. Another way that you can take your message and turn it into your message is through personal branding. You can build a brand around your story. This can lead to sponsorship deals, partnerships. Prime example of this. Y'all remember Jared from Subway? Jared was an everyday guy who was overweight, but he took his mess and made it his message, and he became the poster boy for Subway sandwiches. He told the world how he was able to lose hundreds of pounds while eating Subway sandwiches. So every time you think Subway, you think this is how I can lose weight. Why do y'all think so many of these athletes have these sponsorship deals with Nike, with Sprite, with Adidas? You can become a brand around your mess. You become a spokesperson of that. That brings a lot of money to the table, guys. And again, it really doesn't have to be about the money. Like I said, when I do these podcasts, there's a decent chance nobody is going to donate to the show. But it doesn't matter because I know that there's going to be somebody somewhere that said, I needed to hear this. This is exactly what I needed. I was trying to figure out how I was going to create generational wealth for my family. I came from the hood. I didn't know how I was going to accomplish it. And this is how I'm going to be able to get on. I'm not the smartest guy. I don't have the most education, but I do have mess, and I'm going to turn it into my message. This is how such a large number of people in society have built wealth, and they built their wealth by talking about the things that they love. They didn't do it for the money. They did it because they were passionate about it, and they worked hard at putting their message out, and the money followed. You could do the exact same thing. Now, again, we can talk about how this turns into advertisements. We can talk about how this turns into endorsements, guys. There's so many different ways that you can take your story and turn it into a profitable venture. But I want y'all to know something. The goal must be about inspiring others. If you're only doing it for the money, you're not going to last. Trust me, creating generational wealth is going to be a challenge. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is something that you're definitely going to have to work very hard at doing. If making generational wealth was so easy, everybody would have it. But the thing that separates the elite from the rest is putting in the effort. If you're driven by it, you're going to do it regardless because that's your passion. This is where you get your drive. This is your why. This is your burning desire. It's your magnificent obsession. This keeps you up at night. You could talk about this in your sleep. And because you can talk about it in your sleep, that's why you do it so much. And because you do it so much, eventually the world listens. So I'm going to give you real examples of how you can take your mess and turn it into your message. I'm going to give you guys practical examples of real life mess that people will go through. This is common in society. I'm going to show you guys 4 things that you can talk about that most people experience, but they never turn it into their message. Number 1, addiction. We are living in the most addictive times in history. So many people going through drug addiction, social media addiction, pornography addiction, and most people suffer in silence and say nothing about it. Someone who's overcome an addiction can share their story and give guidance to others who are struggling with that addiction. If you've been addicted to drugs and now you've turned your life around, you can be an inspiration to others. If you've been someone that's been addicted to pornography, I've seen multiple companies online that are making millions of dollars showing men how to overcome pornography addiction. Take your mess and turn it into your message. You can create a business by offering coaching services. Here's how to overcome addiction. You can literally sit down with people, guys. This is not rocket science. Zoom call. They book a 1-hour session with you. You give them real coaching. You can put your steps in a book and you can turn it into an online course. Guys, you know the reason why I came out with this book? I didn't come out with this book because of money. I came out with this book because there were so many people that were sending me messages asking me how I paid off over $95,000 in student loans. If I had to guess, the number one question that people have asked me in my life, most people have asked me, how did you get out of debt so fast? And I spent so much time making phone calls one by one. Hey, here's how I did it. Here's how I did it. Here's how I did it. Eventually, I had gotten burnt out just by dealing with all of these questions on a one-on-one basis. And it was the same question over and over. And so I said, you know what? Why don't, instead of me just talking to people one-on-one, why don't I have a group coaching program? Everybody's asking the same question. This way, I'm able to give the answer one time. The reason why I make a lot of this content is because I know in 5 years from now, somebody can ask me a question about how to get a better job. I can point them back to the video that I did 5 years ago instead of having to say it over and over and over and over. You know how many times people will do this to coaches and consultants? This is one of our pet peeves. There will be people who will leave a comment on YouTube like, I need you to call me. I need to know how I can get a better job. I need you to tell me what to put on a resume. If you're talking to a content creator that has thousands of subscribers, they cannot call every single person one by one and tell them one by one the basic things that should be on your resume. But you can do it through a book. I can take my thoughts, and this is the reason why some of y'all ain't up on this. This is why a lot of this stuff, sometimes it'll be better than a phone call. Because if I'm on a phone call, I might only be able to speak for 10 minutes. But if I can spend 6 months to a year putting my thoughts down on paper, I can give the very best of my knowledge. And I can take over a decade's worth of experience and I can put it into a 200-page book. I can give you guys a fast lane to be able to get 10 years worth of experience just by reading my book in a couple weeks. This is why people write books. Instead of saying the same crap over and over and over again, you can write it one time and it can go out to millions of people. You can offer your coaching services. You can write books. You can create online courses about addiction recovery. And guys, you got to go into your story. I want you guys, if you really want to take me up on this, here's what I want you to do. I want you to first Write down how you felt going through your addiction. If you felt like the scum of the earth, I want you to write that down. If you felt like you were hopeless, I want you to write that down. I want you to write this down because these are the types of things that you don't want to tell other people, but these are the very things that make you valuable to other people because somebody somewhere feels the same way as you, but they won't say it. And guys, when I'm talking about stuff like addiction, these can literally be life-changing experiences. You could help to actually stop somebody from taking themselves out. You would really be surprised. The kind of people that would reach out to you, sending messages, sending cash apps. Man, thank you so much for this, King. I never thought that I could actually do this myself, but I see it now clearly. Now I'm on. You never know. I've had guys leave me YouTube comments that said, man, I watched one of your videos and it just set off a light bulb. Now I'm making $200,000 a month. And I'm like, damn, what was it that I said that really had you make that kind of transformation? I need to go back and watch that video. I got something I need to hear that I said. But you just never know. See, this is the beautiful thing about taking your mess and turning it into your message. Somebody can do more with your message than you. The student can outshine the master. These are opportunities, guys, where you could really make a strong contribution in people's lives. Another way that you can overcome is through chronic illness. What if there's a particular illness that you've had in your life? Maybe a lot of people don't know about your illness, but there's a market of people that do. If you're someone that successfully managed a chronic illness, you can take your experience and provide advice to others. There are certain things, guys, that I've experienced. I didn't know the terms until I spoke with somebody else. I didn't know what me experiencing this meant medically until I spoke with somebody else. And then I was given the tools on how to manage it. If I did not learn this, I would be a wreck. I would pay real money to learn these things. Why? Because think about how much it's going to help me win at the end of the day. If there's some kind of condition that I'm suffering from, if that's holding me back from being able to be on my business calls that can actually help me get to the next level, obviously I'm willing to pay to learn because I know I'm losing so much money by not getting the information. And that's one thing that a lot of y'all don't see. A lot of y'all be out here, oh man, if I buy this book, I've got to spend $20. That's stupid. If you could spend $20, you could learn something from the book where it could profit you $2,000. So you're going to stop yourself from making $2,000 progress because you're not trying to part ways with $20 that you would spend at McDonald's. Come on, man. You deserve to be broke. If you don't have enough common sense to actually make an investment in the things that can change your life for the better, you deserve every L you take. I don't feel sorry for you. If you're out here taking L after L, you got all this money for Jordan shoes, iPhone, McDonald's, nails, weed, weave, whatever. Then when it comes down to a book that could change my life about something I'm lacking personally, I ain't got no money for that, but I got all this money for all this foolishness. You deserve to be broke. This is America. The people that win in America are typically the people who are willing to invest in themselves. They are not consumers. They are producers. Right now, you could be one of the world's greatest producers, but maybe you are battling some kind of condition that's holding you back. Right now, some of you are saying, if I could just get rid of this condition, I know I can sing. I know I can write. I know I can dance. If I could just get this condition in line, then I can walk in my calling. Why wouldn't it make sense for you to dedicate every moment of your time, money, and energy to fixing that condition so that way you can step into your greatness. But if you're the person that's actually managed that illness successfully, you're the person that's going to help. You're the person that's going to help that person. I literally just told you who your market is. It's the person that's looking to get to the next level in life, but they can't because this chronic illness is stopping them. You're going to show them how to overcome it, and then both of y'all are going to win because that person is going to pay you for the answer. And when that person makes a lot of money because now they can get to the next level, they're going to take you with them. It's as simple as that, guys. Another thing that you can do with this, I'm giving y'all all the game right now for free. Start writing personal traumas. Start documenting your traumas. What are some traumatic experiences that you've gone through? Whether it's abuse, whether it's violence, take your story and give it to others. Now, I'm not going to sell this one too heavy, but I'm just going to put it out there for you. It is an example. Who remembers the movie The Color Purple? The Color Purple with Oprah Winfrey. Now, the reason why I said I'm not going to sell it too much is because, the Black community, we got our problems. Lord knows we got our mess. And a lot of times, even when we take our mess, we don't turn it into something productive. A lot of times we take our mess and turn it into something destructive. One of the reasons why The Color Purple became so popular is because there was an audience of viewers who felt that they could relate to the stories in the movie The Color Purple. It was a taboo subject to speak on, namely talking about abuse and violence. Now, not everyone might be going through abuse and violence, but there are some people who are. And y'all know the thing that really trips a lot of y'all up? You always discredit yourself because you say, well, the whole world isn't going through abuse, so nobody will listen to me. You don't need the whole world to listen to your story. If only 1% of all of the world listened to your story, you would never have another money problem for the rest of your life. I want you to hear what I said. If only 1% of the world's population bought into your story, you would never have another problem with money again. The problem with so many of you is you have a self-defeatist attitude where you say, well, unless I go into business doing something that everybody can use, then I won't be successful in business. This is your niche. Not everybody drinks coffee, but you got people that are making billions off of coffee. Starbucks coffee is a perfect example. Not everybody is an alcoholic, but they got the 12-step Alcoholics Anonymous program for a reason. Every year, there's people all around the world that are involved in it. You don't need everybody. You need the right people. You need to find your audience. Someone who's overcome a traumatic experience like abuse or violence can share their story and give guidance and insight to help those who are going through similar situations. You can offer coaching services. You can put out free content. You can write books and blogs. And a lot of this stuff, guys, it don't have to even be a business. It could just be a passion project. This is the thing I tell to my wife all the time. She'll ask me questions. Hey, what are you going to do with this channel? I said, you know what, man? I'm at a point with this where I'm going to just get out here and I'm going to just say what I got to say. If it goes somewhere, it does. If it doesn't, who cares? Because at the end of the day, I'm just putting my story out there. Whoever is going to benefit off of it, benefits off of it. Whoever doesn't, it ain't for them. And that's all it is. There's other things that I could be doing to make money. Some of you guys, just put your passion out there and you'd be surprised how the world responds to it. Career struggles. This is critical. There are so many people that have career struggles and they never talk about it. If you're someone that's gone through a job loss, you've made a career change, tell your story so that way you can give advice to others who have similar issues. Do you know one of the main things that people want to talk to me about? How I transitioned out of corporate America to starting my own business full time. How I went from working in the IT space to going into ministry. People want to hear about how you transition from one career path to the next because there's a lot of people who hate their job. There's a lot of people who hate what they do and they're looking for an escape, but they need somebody to get them out. You're the bailout. Tell your story. Share with them the process that you went through, and that's how you'll be able to overcome. And again, guys, I want you to watch my webinar on the 3 keys to financial freedom. I want you to see how I outline this in the webinar. I literally, everything that I'm telling you guys right now, I really want y'all to test me on this. I want you guys to think about the points of sharing your story. And I want you to watch that webinar and see if I did that. I want you to watch that webinar and ask yourself, hey, did Uzziah just tell me something about money here? Or did he share his story about his problems growing up as a young Black man and how he was able to take those experiences to show the average person how to win with money? Because if a young Black man from South Central could do it, there must be a formula now that anybody can use. Take your mess and make it your message. That's what I want y'all to realize. Look at what Sister Avia said. I'm taking notes. I hope you are, my sister. I hope you are. Shout out to Sister Hanaya that's on. Sister Ariel says, I agree with you, Avia. This show has me thinking as well. See, and this whole time, y'all thought it was just going to be celebrity gossip. Oh, God, Uzziah is talking about this thing. Keep my wife's name out your mouth. It's so much more than that. We're just taking these stories that we see in the public and showing how we can benefit off of it ourselves. Chris Rock isn't the only one that's been through something. We all have a story. A Diamond, shout out to you, my sister. Happy to see you on. She said, that's a very beautiful point of view about passion projects. My negative mind says no one cares, but I realize I should just go for it. That'd be the problem. So many of y'all, you just get in your own way. Who cares if nobody cares? Just put it out. I had no idea that I would be doing this full time. Guys, do y'all realize when I was in corporate, I thought that I was going to be working for a computer company for the rest of my life. If you would have pulled me to the side when I was 20 years old and you would have told me, hey, you know this degree that you're going for in college? In the next 10 years, you're not going to use that degree at all. You're going to spend $100,000 paying off this degree. And then you're going to go into 2 totally different industries, teaching people how to get salvation and teaching people how to win with money. The $100,000 that you spent on this degree that you're not going to use, you're not even going to regret it. Because there's going to be so many blessings that's going to come after you graduate from here. You're not even going to think about the past like that. If you would have told me that when I was 20 years old, I would have laughed in your freaking face. But a man's goings is of the Lord. How can a man know his own way? The Lord works in mysterious ways. You just got to be able to just do it. Stop making excuses about why you can't do it and just freaking do it. If you got a job, do it on the side. Do one video, write one email, one blog. There's so many opportunities, guys. But you guys convince yourself that you can't do it. You're your own worst enemy. I want you guys to be able to see this. Take your mess and make it your message. And again, like I said, I encourage you, watch the webinar. Watch how I take my mess and I turn it into a formula to show you how you can build wealth. Back now to the topic. For those of y'all that are on, make sure that you smash that like button. Let's get these likes up. If you guys are getting a lot of value from tonight's show, please be your brother's keeper and donate, y'all. Your donations go very far. There's a lot more that I want to do to help people on these podcasts, but I cannot do it without your support. Your donations go a very long way, my people, and I thank you for that. We talked about career struggles, all right? So this is going to be my last and final gift to you guys for the night. I'm not going to keep y'all on here forever. For those of you that are serious about taking your mess and making it your message, I'm going to give you guys 5 steps on how to bring it to life. I've already showed you the types of messes that you can talk about and the different ways that you can do it. Now I'm going to give you 5 practical steps to bring it to life. Step number 1, identify your niche. Remember what I said? Not everybody is your audience, and that's okay. The first thing that you need to understand is that you're not looking for everybody. You're looking for the right person. You're not looking for any person. You're looking for the right person. This is where you need to identify your niche. So if I was a man that went through alcoholism, who's going to be my niche? Okay, maybe it's going to be guys within a particular age range who may drink maybe 2 or more drinks per day. Maybe I would talk about guys who may have committed some type of domestic violence. I don't know. That's not my thing personally. I'm just giving you guys examples of how I would think about the process of identifying your niche. When you identify your niche, you want to think about the gender that you're talking to, what their age range is, what are some of the characteristics that they share that's similar to you, and then you just use this information to go out and find those specific people. Okay, if you're a woman and you want to talk about abuse. Okay, well, what kind of abuse are you going to talk about? Who are the kinds of women who would typically be subject to that abuse? Where can you find them? You need to identify your niche. Okay, because when you identify your niche, this helps you identify a target audience that receives specific language. When you deliver your message, it cannot be for everybody. It needs to be for the people that are in your target market, so that way they can understand your perspective. They need to understand your language. If I'm speaking to my target market about paying off my student loans, one of the first words that I may use is overwhelmed. Because a lot of us who have student loans are overwhelmed with the amount of debt. I need to know, what are the kind of statements that people like me that were in debt, what statements do we make? How do we feel about this? And one of the easiest things that you guys can do to really help to get immersed in this, have conversations with women that already relate to you. Have conversations with people who are already a part of your niche, and just start to ask them, what are some of the challenges that you have in this area? And it doesn't need to be like a real formal sit down interview style. Just make random conversation and start to pay attention to patterns. If I'm sitting down and I'm speaking with my target audience, if I speak to 10 people, at least 8 people are going to tell me about debt. Well, I'm going to make content about getting out of debt. If I sit down with 10 people that have just graduated from college, they might tell me, hey, one of my biggest challenges is I'm not getting enough guidance on the next steps that I need to take in my life. So I'm then going to create content that helps to solve that problem. You need to identify your niche, identify a specific problem that you want to address. and tie that to a specific audience who wants to know how to solve that problem. And you're going to create content around that issue. You're going to create products and services that are tailored to their needs. And then the next thing that you're going to do in step 2 is build your brand. Now that you know who your niche is, now that you've identified your audience, you're going to create a personal brand that reflects your unique perspective. So, for example, some of you guys, if you checked out a lot of my older content from, I've had this channel for years, you would know I would say, hey, y'all, it's Uzziah, your success strategist. I'm giving you a unique brand. I'm telling you my role in your life is to be your success strategist. You come to me to learn the strategies of success. You can do the exact same thing for yourself. As you're developing your brand, you can build a brand around your expertise. You can have a website, you can have a social media presence, you can have some kind of marketing material that highlights your story and your message. You don't need all of this stuff, guys. This is another thing that slows y'all down. You think, oh, I can't get started unless I have business cards, unless I have a logo, unless I have a website. Just get out there and do something. Just get out there and do something, because you're not even going to have the money or the resources to even do all of the things that you want to do until you started to put your brand out there, and then you start getting success from it. This is where you build your brand. If you never put your content out there, you never know what's going to stick. You got to have a brand. Chris Rock has a brand. These guys that are taking their stories and profiting from it, they have a brand. And the reason why people want to hear their story is because they built an audience that bought into your brand. Damn, y'all need to be paying me for this. Y'all need to really, I'm telling you, man, if you ain't donated, I really appreciate a donation, because I'm literally showing you the step-by-step formula on how Chris Rock just made over $20 million in a 1-hour show. He has built his audience. You think Chris Rock don't know that not everybody likes his comedy? He doesn't care that not everybody likes his comedy. He's only focused on the right people that likes his comedy. He already has built an audience, and that's why they buy into his brand. In fact, you know the thing that's so great, guys, about building your brand through your unique audience? When you become attacked like Chris Rock was, that only gives you more support. How many of y'all want to bet that Chris Rock made more money after the slap than before it? Chris Rock made more money after the slap because this is when his audience had to stand up. Hey, this is our guy. Our guy is under attack. Look at how comedians got behind him. You need to make sure that you've built your audience before they buy into it. And see, the problem is a lot of you want people to buy into you, but you haven't even built your audience yet. You got to give them something to buy into first. You got to build your base, identify your niche, build your brand. Step number 3, create content. Now that you have your brand, you know who you're going to talk to, you know what you're going to say. Start talking. This is where you're writing books. You're giving these books to your niche, your audience, the people that want to receive your message. This is when you're creating blogs. Okay, guys, I want you to understand this. You don't need to write blogs, write emails, make videos. You just need to do one. However you best communicate your message, make that the focal point of how you do business. So God has blessed me to live through this generation where I can be on camera through social media. I communicate best through video. You cannot really feel my emotion the way that I deliver and communicate it through written form. So I've got to take my mess and deliver the message through the best medium that my message flows. My message goes over best on video. You got to know what works for you. For some of you guys, it's just audio. Some of you guys are great writers. I don't know every single person that's watching this video right now, but you got to think about this for yourself and then just start creating content on a continuous basis. The reason why so many of you guys won't succeed with this, unfortunately, is because you have a mindset that the very first piece of content that you ever make has to have 1 million views. Who cares? Do it for the love, man. Do it for the love of what you're talking about. Do it for the love of your audience. Do it until the people that you dream about hearing this starts to hear it. I don't know about y'all, and I promise I'm not going to ramble on here all night. I hope that this is helping somebody. But when I started my company 10 years ago, the Urban Money Movement LLC, when I started my company, it was because I had a dream about a young Black man that was on his way to prison. And he was stopped going to prison because he found my content first. He didn't believe that he could do anything positive with his life until he saw another Black man focused on their professional success, until he saw another Black man coming from where he came from who found a way out legally. And I just was so caught up in that dream that I said, I gotta put out enough content until I find this person in real life. And you'd be shocked the types of Black men that I have met over the years from all different countries around the world that resonated with that message. Identify your audience. Who wants to hear this? Who can relate to what you have to say? Build your brand from there. Then create your content. Put your head down and work. Just put out the content. Don't even look at the numbers. If you don't take anything else away from what I said, don't look at the numbers. Don't do a video and then as soon as you get off, oh man, how many views does it have? Because if that number isn't your dream number, it's going to discourage you and you're going to stop. But your dream number could come in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade. And even if it never comes, it was still worth it if it's your calling. You don't have to be a superstar, guys. Create the content. After you create the content, offer your services. This is where a lot of us get stuck. A lot of y'all are going to get stuck right here because you're going to feel a sense of guilt for charging your people what you're worth. You are worth something. Your time, your experiences, your value is worth something. And I believe wholeheartedly that if you don't charge for your premier services, you're doing a disservice to yourself and your clients. Let me tell you the reason why. So many people that have access to this content right now, they won't use it. You know the reason why? Because they didn't have to pay for it. Because they didn't have to pay for it, it means nothing to them. But whenever I was studying material that I paid tens of thousands of dollars to get, best believe I didn't forget a thing. Because if I put that much money into it, you best believe I need to get something out. So I needed to follow it step by step by step by step. When I went to college, and I keep telling you all about that $95,000, oh, you best believe I was paying attention in classes. You best believe I was making them grades. Because I had to have something to justify why I was putting up that money. The reason why a lot of people don't grow professionally is because it's all for free and they don't value the things that are for free. How many times have you guys seen people celebrate free cars? How many times have you seen people celebrate free clothes? The reason why people talk about Mercedes, Ferrari, Lamborghini is because it's expensive. It's because they associate the money with value. Why do people talk so much about a Rolex watch? It's because the perception of value is implicit in the cost. If you got to pay $10,000 for a watch, hell yeah, you think it's valuable. It's different than some little crackerjack box that's just giving out some little crazy watch. You guys got to really get your mind around this. Am I telling you that you have to charge for everything? No. But what I am saying is, if you actually are crazy enough to apply the steps that I've given you on tonight's show, I promise you, there's going to be somebody that listens to your content that you put out for free that's going to ask you a question. How much do I have to pay for your services? How much do I have to pay for an hour of your time? How do I join your program? How do I sign up? These are the types of questions that people are going to be asking regardless. Whether you have a program or whether you don't have a program. And mark my words, the minute that somebody asks you that and you didn't take this comment seriously, that's going to haunt you, because when somebody asks you that, you're going to wish that you did. Not just for the money, because you're going to wish that you had actually taken your talents and gifts that God has given you seriously enough to put it into a valuable enough experience that somebody else could benefit from in life. See, guys, what I'm saying is this show right now, this just sparks the idea of what you could do with your life. But somebody could watch this and ask me, hey, can you sit down with me and show me how I could do it step by step? Can you look at my idea? Can you look at my marketing strategies? Can you look at how I can go about starting a program? Someone will ask me a question about that. And if I don't have an answer, I've failed them. That's if I really care. And I'm just telling you this, guys. You might start off having nothing but free messaging, but I promise you, if you are actually focusing on giving other people value, they're going to want more value that requires money. Somebody is going to want me to sit down with them in person. Somebody is going to want more than just one show. They're going to want to work. They're going to want 6 weeks worth of content from me. I don't know. People want this in different forms. So when you create your products and services for the world to hear your messy message, you don't even have to think about it like a business. You're simply thinking about, how can I offer the most value to people as possible? I can give you some level of value in tonight's show. I could give you more value if I'm sitting down with you and I'm showing you how to do it. You have to create your own value ladder. Now, next, guys, the fifth and final step that we're going to go over is the importance of networking. If you're going to take your message and it's going to spread, you have to know how to collaborate with other people. You got to know how to network. You got to know how to get in front of the right people to let your message shine. So to give you an example, I always tell you guys about how I have different real estate investments. I've networked with people in the real estate industry. There will be people that know me, whether it's through church or whether it's through this YouTube channel, that will say, hey, I'm a loan officer. I would like you to speak to my audience about how you own over $1 million in real estate. I've had universities reach out to me to want to speak with their students about how to get out of student loan debt when they get out of college. Guys, inevitably, when you put your message out there one way or another, a network is going to appear, whether you're actively seeking one or they're coming to find you. And when that network comes, you really got to take advantage of it, because there's only so far that your message is going to go if you're just speaking to the people that you know in your tiny little bubble. You're going to have to collaborate with others. You're going to have to meet with other organizations. You're going to have to be in the presence of other speakers and build relationships. And you will really be surprised where those ventures would go. So I want you guys to think just about everything that I said. We're going to end it here. If you guys follow the steps that I outlined in this show, I'm a firm believer that you could create generational wealth. If you really stick with it, I want you to know, building this, it takes time. It takes effort. It takes patience. And there's going to be people that love your message, and there's going to be people that hate it. That's a part of life. Stay focused on the people that are celebrating you. Stay focused on protecting your powerful message. Okay, guys? If you can stay true to your message and your purpose in this life, it's inevitable that you're going to be an inspiration to others. That's how you take your mess and turn it into your message. And I can't wait for you guys to share with me your stories about how you did this. Okay? So y'all, thank y'all so much for tapping in with me. Did y'all get a lot of value from tonight's show? If you did, please do me a favor and smash that like button. If you really did get a lot of value from tonight's content and you could see yourself doing something great with this, please, whatever this content meant to you, please give it in the form of a donation. Tap the dollar icon directly below. Your donations will go very far. Cash App, Gen Wealth Podcast. If you want to do PayPal, the PayPal information is on the screen. All right. I'm going to be back, Lord willing, this Wednesday. Okay. Sometime Wednesday evening, I want to do another show because I got some things I want to talk about, y'all. All right. We're going to talk about how we can really do better as a community to create a legacy. And I want y'all to tune in for Wednesday's show. If you like today's show, then hopefully you'll like Wednesdays as well. Please make sure that you share this channel. Be your brother's keeper. Don't keep it all to yourself. Don't hide it, y'all. All right. Share this. If this is your first time watching this channel, make sure that you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you can receive an alert whenever we have another show. I love you guys. And I really hope that you guys take tonight's message and do something really powerful with it. I know that I would benefit from that. And I know so many other people around the world would. Don't take your gift and hide it so that the world can see it. Let your light shine before men. All right, y'all. Have a great week. And I'll see y'all, Lord willing, this Wednesday. Stay focused.